Welcome to Little Bracket of Horrors, the pod that puts the fight in fright.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Derek.
I'm Shelly.
And we have a special guest with us today, Burly Nathan.
Hey, how's it going?
What's up, bud? How are you?
Thank you for having me here. I'm super excited.
Absolutely. We are excited to have you. I'm ecstatic to have Shelly back as well.
Whoop, whoop.
The family's back again.
Yeah.
It's so good to have you back. It's awesome to have Nathan here today.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. And we were talking about Paranormal Activity today, which, Shelly, I think that was your pick.
It was my pick
Awesome.
for the wheel, yeah.
Yeah, so this is great. Before we jump into anything, Nathan, I wanted to throw it to you because I know you wear a lot of hats and you do a lot of cool stuff. So if you can give us a little rundown on everything you got going on.
Sure. Wow, that's
Great.
fun. A lot of hats. I do wear hats often, and quite a few of them. So
Fancy
yes.
hats.
Hi, my name is Nathan. My persona online is Burly Nathan. I'm a theater performer. I've been working in the theater industry for a very long time. That's actually where Shelly and I met, and I'm sure we'll talk about that.
Nice.
But I do these days I do more like private events, singing. I've been singing for 25 years. And I work in burlesque here in the Tampa Bay area and in Florida in general and in Orlando. And I've been emceeing burlesque shows all over the place and working with different museums here locally. I actually am doing a big event with the Salvador Dali Museum in St. Pete next
And
week.
the Western Museum coming
Yeah,
up,
at
right?
the
Which
James,
I saw.
Yeah, I actually just got booked to do a show at the James Museum in downtown
My
St.
parents
Pete.
love that museum.
I've never
Oh,
been.
nice.
I've seen the front outside facade, and it's really interesting architecture. And a friend of mine works there, and she got me on the books to do a Western Broadway style show because it's a Western museum. And so they're like, "Can you do a Broadway cabaret sing along thing at a piano and do songs that are like country themed or turn them into country themed?" So I'm gonna do obviously stuff from Oklahoma.
Right.
I was thinking about doing music of the night, but with an accent. It'd be kind of funny.
Like a little country accent. Oh, yeah, that would be funny.
That would be hilarious. And just doing that sort of stuff. And I have my own podcast too, the BurlyNathan Show.
Yeah.
And been trying to get more into that. I've done podcasting for years and years, which is why I'm super excited to be invited as a guest.
Woo-hoo.
I typically don't guest on many shows.
I know.
So it was really fun when you asked me to do that. I was super thrilled. But yeah, I've been doing that for a while. And just anything that's creative, I try to just stick in there. But musical theater is where a lot of my stuff started, and that's where Shelly and I met.
And what spurred me on to ask him is when we did the producers together. I learned a lot. Like, you guys do the Halloween Horror Nights and haunted houses and all that. But Nathan was like, I'm kind of like an amateur when it comes to like watching horror movies.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was like, well, we have the podcast, we watch some weird things, but like you can listen. But then when I knew I had like a movie that maybe he could like dip his toe in or relate it to, or had maybe seen it before, I was like, I'm gonna reach out to Nathan.
Yeah,
on
I'm a
this
horror newbie, and I felt like, because I know you're into a lot of spooky things, and we were talking backstage with the producers, I was like, I need to get more into that, and it seems like you will be the person to help me with that.
Yes.
Come into the horror genre.
Yes. Shelly is a great conduit into that universe for sure.
Yeah,
I am.
Love it.
Perfect.
And for people in general.
Yeah.
No, I'm just
But you're on social media, I imagine?
Yep, you can find me online at Burly Nathan on mostly these days Instagram and the old dreaded TikTok. I've had a couple things that have gone a little weird there lately, so it's been fun.
Just a tad.
I woke up one morning and Nathan and his wife Taryn went viral for a painting TikTok that I'd seen a few people do, but there's like 5-6 million views, maybe even more than that.
So right now we're I don't want to sound like I'm gloating. We're leveled out at a good 13 mil.
Whoa.
But
that's insane.
That's
it was
nuts.
It was weird because we had shot this little TikTok trend where you paint each other and then you reveal it. And we had a bottle of wine, and it was funny because we actually used the bottles of wine as the easels for the painting, and people roasted us for that. But I'm a digital artist by trade. I work in marketing. That's my main gig, and I've been designing art and things for a long time. But when it comes to physical painting, I am the actual worst.
Ooh.
So I knew, but I also know my wife is pretty decent at it.
Yeah.
So we did it, and mine was absolutely atrocious, and hers was quite awesome.
It was actually really good.
There was a comment that was like, he looks better in the painting than he does in real life. And I'm like, well, first of all, rude. Secondly, yeah, you're right. But then we did it, and I posted it, and it got like a few thousand hits that night. I'm like, all right, cool. Woke up the next morning with 1 million. And then the next day we were at 3, and we were going to see a show locally here, and we were sitting at Tijuana Flats, just her and I having tacos, and this guy comes up to us and he's like, "Is this you guys?" And he hands us his phone, and it's our stupid TikTok. Mind you, we're at a Tijuana Flats in the middle of Tampa, just random suburban Tampa, and this guy's like, "Is this you guys?" And we're like, "Yeah, that's us." And we sat in the car, we're like, "That was weird."
Wow.
Very weird.
And then we went to a show that night, and there were some people sitting in the front row, and they were looking at their phones and then glancing at us. And then they pointed, and I'm like, no, this isn't going to be my legacy here of being a garbage painter. But if you look at it, you find it online. I get roasted 1,000 times a day.
Yeah, the comments, yeah.
I will open up my TikTok comments, and it's just nothing about how terrible. It's hysterical to
like
see.
Like she should leave him. All over freaking
get out of that guy. That must be what he thinks of her. Right. I'm like, what the heck are you talking about?
People are brutal.
They are absolutely brutal, and it's hilarious.
I think a lot of times people project on those websites too.
They do.
They like to insert things that definitely aren't there.
Yeah, for sure.
That's crazy.
It was wild. I'm like, I've been with this woman for 15 years. We make fun of each other constantly. Yeah. So this was just our way of doing that, and I'm like, this is just what we do.
Do you identify as a millennial?
Yes.
Okay, so as millennials, we grew up with like real life bullying. So like people think internet bullying will hurt our feelings, but we're millennials. Like we grew up with people doing it to our face.
Yeah,
like,
face to face.
You put it in the comment, like that's just easy, like walk away.
We were like the last generation of let me take your lunch money.
Yeah, exactly.
Because now it's like let me access your online account and give me your dollars. Send me a Venmo.
Have your card?
You better Venmo me, you turd.
Scan my QR code.
Scan my QR code and eat dirt. Ridiculous.
Oh my gosh. But that's awesome though. People should definitely follow you on Instagram and the TikTok.
You can see all the weird antics. Yeah.
Yeah. So we like to kick off the show when we have a new guest and ask them a couple questions so the audience gets to know you and at least your horror side. So
all right.
Are you ready for your questions?
Let's do it.
Hell yeah. All right. Nathan, so first up is, what is the first horror movie you remember watching?
Oh my God, man. The first horror movie that my family didn't really expose me to that sort of stuff early. Not because they were like, we're going to shelter this child. They also had no artistic taste. So I grew up just watching, not to say that these are bad, but I grew up watching like 50s, 60s sitcoms. Like that was really it.
Like
so
Happy Days.
Right. So horror wasn't
Yeah.
really anything that was like, big in my life. This isn't really a horror movie, but I remember being terrified in Beetlejuice when they would like stretch their face and put the eyes to the mouth, and that scared the shit out of me. And then my parents would tease me with like Crypt Keeper stuff, and
because it was on at night when we were kids. Yeah.
So like they were like, if you don't go to bed, I'm gonna keep this on, and you're gonna have to watch this and then go to sleep. I'm like,
oh my gosh!
But like just being teased like that's like the original horror experiences that I had. But our family was a very rom-com comedy, cheesy movie family.
Yeah.
So we didn't, and sports movies. So like we weren't really exposed to much horror growing up.
Yeah, we consider Beetlejuice kind of in the horror genre. Yeah. So that works. Yeah.
We actually had a little Ian of Horrors episode on Beetlejuice not too long ago. So it's a good introductory to the genre. It's a great 90s movie.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they're not redoing it.
They're making the second one.
The sequel. That should be interesting.
I know. Next up, what's the scariest thing that's ever happened to you?
The scariest thing that has ever happened to me. Wow. So kind of actually ties into today's topic because when the Paranormal Activity movie came out, my wife and I had just started dating, and I had moved away to Georgia to go to college for singing, and she came up to visit me with her sister, and we saw this movie at a movie theater in Atlanta, and I'll probably talk more about that later. But I was living at a college that was about an hour and a half away from Atlanta. So we traveled for the day. We just wanted to go to Atlanta for the day and have fun in the city. So we like, well, we're going to see this movie, Paranormal Activity, tonight.
Just some light viewing.
Yeah, some light viewing. But little did we remember, we had to leave Atlanta to go back to the hotel, which was near my college, an hour and a half away, in the deep, dark, mountainous woods of Georgia.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So we saw this movie, and I'll talk about my reactions to it later, and we had to drive in the dark back to the college in the middle of the woods. We get back to our hotel, and it's a stereotypical like side of the road hotel in Georgia.
Okay,
boy.
yeah.
And they were having some plumbing issues, I think, because as we were laying there that night, nothing but thuds and booms and bang. Fresh off seeing that movie.
Oh no.
So it was terrifying. So yeah, that was one of the scarier moments that we absolutely could have prevented had we not done what we did and had to drive an hour and a half back in the mountains of Georgia.
Oh my God, you would have just been like, there's plumbing issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead
Nope.
you're like,
Ghosts.
it's a demon.
It's a demon, 100% a demon.
Coming for us.
No way. It followed me from the theater.
Right, exactly.
Drove an hour and a half with us in the trunk.
Yeah.
And then hopped into
in the back of our Buick.
Yeah.
But yeah, so no, that was pretty dang scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say so. All right, let's move on into our next question. This is a fun one. So, what would you rather be bitten by, vampire, zombie, or werewolf?
Oh man. I think I would probably go vampire.
Okay.
We have another vampire.
Vampire again, yeah.
I think it's just because it seems like fun. I mean, not like the super gay vampires like on What We Do in the Shadows, but like, I would be Laszlo if I was a vampire.
Yeah.
So we'd leave it at that. But yeah, no, I would definitely, and I love, flying around and things.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Turn it into a bat.
the blood stuff, we'll get used to it. But
Yeah.
like,
Acquired taste,
yeah, and I love sleeping, and so do they. So.
Ooh, that's true.
Yeah.
If you have a little bit of antisocialness in you, you can just avoid the crowds and just hang out at night. So
100%
That's
my
awesome.
brand.
Yeah.
Right.
Nice.
There. I will avoid every crowd if I can.
yeah.
I only allow if they welcome me in, I will go.
Yeah. Well, because you can only go
Exactly.
if they welcome
I
you.
love that's the politeness of vampires. I don't think people think about often.
Yeah, true. They are not rude. They don't just barge in for no reason.
A very polite
They
monster.
can't.
Yeah.
Love it.
Everyone's either monster or vampire. Obviously, no one has picked zombie.
Werewolf. Oh, well, werewolf or vampire. Yeah,
Yeah.
no one. I mean, but who wants to be a zombie?
I know. I'm waiting for somebody. I think there's someone out there.
There's got to be someone
who thinks it's cool to have like a rotting corpse.
Please
walking
write
around.
us if
Yes.
you'd like to be a zombie.
Yeah.
It's at Little Bracken
It
Horror.
is at Little Bracket Horrors. All right. So next up is, who do you think wins in a fight? Jason, Michael Myers, or Freddy Krueger?
Oh man. That's a tough one. I would probably go with Freddy, I think.
Yeah.
Smart.
Just, and it's the psychological behind it. Like,
Yeah.
no, that'll get you.
Yeah.
Finger knives.
Yeah. He-
Can't go wrong with finger knives.
Exactly. He
Right.
can penetrate your dreams and your reality,
And your skull.
and he can bash your head into a TV. He's
He's got a long resume of things he can do to you.
exactly. He
And
is.
I think it's been proven, and I will always use this argument, that he beat Jason technically.
Yeah. That's
Because
right.
he was still alive even when Jason drug his head
Yeah.
into the water.
And to be honest, I think Jason mops the floor with
Whatever.
Michael Myers.
Jason. Plus, Freddy can enter Jason or Michael Myers' dreams.
Exactly. That's right.
Hello.
They can't escape him.
Yeah, once you get into the mind, you win.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Full circle back to the mental health.
Exactly.
There's always a tie-in. You always got to reference back the golden rule 3 times.
Oh, man. All right, so let's finish up the questions. Last question is, what is your favorite scary movie?
My favorite scary movie. Oh man. I mean, to be honest, parts of it would be Paranormal Activity. I do. Man, it's scary for a different reason, but I really enjoy Labyrinth because it's just scary and weird.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like scary. It's because that was another one of the movies as a kid that kind of freaked me out a little bit. Because of the amazing puppetry. Obviously, the Jim Henson puppets and all of that were great, but they were terrifying.
The goblins.
The goblins
Yeah.
are the one that's peeing. Come on.
Yeah.
So like it's all and I love that sort of stuff. And I'm more likely to pick something that's more like a horror comedy style.
Okay.
Right.
I loved the scary movies.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh, I think that works. Yeah.
yeah.
Because I mean, technically it's scary, but like in a fun way, in an interesting way. And,
Yeah.
And like I said, I lean more on the comedy side for that sort of thing. So that's usually where that falls in.
Nice. Are you a fan of Shaun of the Dead?
Okay, so that actually is one of my favorite guilty pleasures. When you would have
Guilty
to
pleasure?
yeah, because like I mean I loved it because it was ridiculous and I love British comedy.
Yeah.
But like when it would be on Comedy Central, when we would just be switching through the channels when you couldn't just stream it anytime you want. Anytime that movie was on, I would stop and watch it.
Yeah.
And
So
the
good.
Don't Stop Me Now with the pool.
Oh, yeah.
One of my favorite. Anytime that song comes on, I'm like, I gotta grab a pool cue and just beat the crap out of some zombies.
It was a part of a haunted house one year. At Halloween Horror Nights, they
I
did like a
remember that.
movie thing, and one of the scenes, it was like Evil Dead, and then Shaun of the Dead 2 was in there. Oh,
That was a good sound
bam.
effect.
But you would go into the what is it, the lamb.
Oh, I know.
No, the Winchester. Sorry, I'm
Winchester,
thinking of.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, the slaughtered lamb.
That's
Yeah.
what I was thinking, but that's
I
not
gotcha.
right. But you would go into the Winchester in the haunted house, and if you got in there at the right time, it would like the lights would switch and they would start playing.
Oh,
The
Don't Stop Me Now.
Queen
That's
song,
great.
yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, it was a really cool little Easter egg you've seen. That movie,
I
so.
love
Yeah.
that so
Yeah.
much.
But
that's awesome.
good choices.
Well, thank you for answering our questions.
course.
And I hope everyone got to know Nathan a little bit more. But now it's time to play a little catch up. Watch anything scary? Do anything scary, Shelly?
No, I mean, I've been deep into the play for... This is the first weekend that I've not been.
Yeah.
Nathan knows the life.
I sure do.
You at least go for 3 weeks straight towards the end, it seems like.
And you guys had a double-double at the end.
We had a double-double, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So it went really well. The scariest thing is I hurt myself. And opening weekend, during Tech Week, I did this stunt fall where I get hit by a door and I get knocked out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd always just flail my arms up. And for whatever reason, the Monday before opening, deep into Tech Week, I didn't move my arm, and I landed on my side into my arm. And I'm a hefty girl, so you have to imagine all my weight coming down on my arm, which then bruised my rib.
Yeah.
So opening weekend, I had a bruised rib, but I still did everything. It was like when you were in the adrenaline, you didn't really bother you. It's pretty good right now. Like laying down, sleeping still kind of hurts a little bit, but that's mostly because I'm a side sleeper. But other than that, I haven't watched too many scary things. I did get a really scary notification on my phone last night.
Ooh, do tell.
I was driving, and it's like, there's an AirTag moving with you.
What?
And I don't own an AirTag.
Uh-oh.
And I got the notification like 20 minutes into driving.
Okay.
It wasn't like I left the house, and it was like, there's an AirTag moving with you.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if someone's AirTag sensitivity was just way up, and I picked it up from like someone drove by, and they're like, because I have my Find Mine features on.
Yeah.
Mostly because there's certain people that, I want to keep safe. My mom, my sister, and, my friends. And also, if I lose my shit, I have other Apple accessories that I can find my shit with.
Exactly.
I don't know if I picked it up. My one friend was like, don't go home. I'm like, where would you like me to go?
I'll bring the AirTag to you.
Right. But, I haven't gotten the notification sent, and I drove this morning, so I don't know. It's kind of freaky, though.
That is freaky.
Yeah.
It's very freaky.
The more you know.
AirTags.
Yeah, right. Thought about owning one, but now I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, they're cool. We have when we have them on our dogs because our dogs went. One of our dogs ran away like a couple of years ago, and I found him luckily. But after that, I'm like, we're putting AirTags on our dogs on the little collars.
That's a smart,
And they actually make little collar attachments that you can put onto your dog. And so we have that for Levi. But like 2 weeks ago, I'm sitting at home by myself, just me and him, and it starts going dee-dee-dee-dee-dee, which is the sound it makes when you go on the Find My app. You can press a button to make a sound so you can find whatever the AirTag is attached to in your house. So the sound was going off on Levi's collar. And I'm like, why would my wife need to know where the dog is? He's home with me.
Right.
So I texted her. I said, hey, are you sending a notification to the AirTag right now on Levi's collar? And she's like, no. And I'm like, someone else wants to know where my dog is. And that's weird.
How is that happening?
Got a dog stalker.
Yeah, my dog is very nice.
And he's adorable.
He's an adorable dog.
A cute dog.
What type of dog?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay. Mutt.
The goodest boy.
The goodest boy. That brand.
I love it.
We think he's a mix of, this is weird, we think he's a mix of Dalmatian, Lab, and Pit.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
I can see the Dalmatian,
bigger dog.
Sure.
Yeah,
bigger dog.
The only other breed I would throw in is maybe collie. Like a collie of some sort.
So we're going to do like the dog 23andMe thing and find out where he's from. It's just so weird. But yeah, we have no idea what he is.
Yeah.
Crazy.
A mutt.
What about Nathan? Did anything scary happen to you? You watch anything scary besides this?
Besides this, not as much. We have been watching. This is scary, like psychologically, but we have actually been watching the new Fallout series, which is very fun.
It's getting a huge following,
and it's got some great horror elements to it as well, and very realistic looking ones as well. But other than seeing the scariness on stage with you, which, by the way, once again, was such an amazing show, Shelly. You were hilarious.
Oh, thank
and
you.
when I found out that Shelly was playing the stage manager role, I'm like, oh, that's perfect.
It was, yeah.
And when you came out to do the reading section with the script, that was and I've seen the tour of the show and all of that, and you were hilarious. You were better than that because it was just so genuinely great and how a person would do it.
Oh, thank you.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it was. I got some of the funniest little, like, you know, the director, Jason, comments. He'd be like, I think you like, I was reading from like a script that wasn't the script.
Yeah.
But like doing my lines because I was trying to memorize them because I did not read from the script. When I did, it wasn't the right lines. And I was like, well, I'm never doing that again.
Oh, okay.
So he's like, I think you're reading from the wrong script so bad that it's good. I don't know what's happening. I'm like, so bad that it's good. Thank you.
The section where it repeats the 5 times.
Oh my god!
I have never laughed so hard in a show, especially with you guys, because it was the best ensemble of people. So amazing.
It was really a good cast, good strong cast. Everybody was put into a role perfectly for what it was.
They were great.
But yeah, the play that goes wrong was very successful at Francis Wilson this season, and I'm very excited that I got to be a part of it. I think they announced it early 2023, like
sure did.
For this season, and I bought the script from Amazon on my Kindle and waited over a year to audition. This is the only show I auditioned for this season too, so I put all my eggs in one basket, and it paid off. So I was very lucky. I was up against some really great girls. I mean, there's only 2 girl parts in the whole show, so like, and Francis Wilson's we usually need more guys than we need girls. So a lot of girls came out, and to be one that got picked was quite a good
when I knew you were auditioning, I'm like, Shelly's gonna be the stage right. There's no way around this, and boom, there it was.
I'm also very much like, what do you need me to do? You need me to be hit by a door and fall over? Yeah, I got you. Like whatever you need me to do.
Oh, I've seen you do some very wild things. I've been there. I watched you do it.
That was the other thing that was said. They're like, Jason goes, I don't think anyone knew you as Shirley Markowitz. Your Shirley Markowitz in the producers was amazing, but nobody knew that was you.
When you popped out the very first time in full costume, I lost my mind.
And that was my goal from that night. I was like, I'm gonna get that.
You got me every single night.
But and then it was like, now people know Shelly.
Yes.
And who you are. So that was really cool.
Yeah.
Healed my inner child a little bit.
Good.
Thanks.
Well, it was a well-deserved role that you were given. It was perfect. Like when we talked after the show, I was just like, you were made for this role, and you were amazing at it. It was great to watch you shine.
Oh, thank you.
And I've been to plenty of your plays, and the one where you had a bit part, I fell asleep in. So I'm maybe
Harvey.
Harvey.
I did photos for the show. I fell asleep too. So. Okay. No, it's a good show, but yes, I remember.
Yeah.
So like this,
I had so many friends. I was like, come see me in the show. I didn't tell most of them that I was in like the first 2 minutes, and then not at all.
Your costume was worth it.
Yeah.
So we will support anything, but this play was just like phenomenal. I was in it from beginning to end. It was hilarious. I don't think a minute went by where there wasn't something in there for you to catch. It was a great script. Your performances were all amazing. And we can't say enough positive things and applaud it enough. So congratulations again.
And that was the funny thing about that cast. Not a single person on that cast had worked together before, which you wouldn't be able to see if you didn't think about it.
Drew hadn't worked with you guys yet.
I had never worked with Drew, and Alex had never worked with Drew.
And that was Jennifer's first show.
And everybody else's, it was their first show. Me, Alex, Drew were the only returning Francis Wilson people.
That's right. Wow.
Everybody else, it was their first Francis Wilson show, and nobody had worked with each other outside.
Sunny.
Sunny did Beauty and the Beast and a few things.
That was it. Yeah.
Oh, so I think Sunny and Drew had worked together.
Yeah, at least them. But still, that was it's very rare at that theater for it to not be the same kinds of people in every show. Yeah. Which is fine because I mean, I did the shows there for 13 years, so it makes sense. But yeah, it was really good to see new faces.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, some very talented people came out for the play, and it paid off very well. So.
Well, it's great community theater. I mean, with community theater, you'll get a lot of the same stuff. So like. Your guys being the first time together is, it didn't show at all. Yeah. It was very seamless.
Yeah, we did really, bond as a cast, and having a smaller cast, you can do that very easily. Yeah. So, it was nice. How about you, Derek? You're always watching scary things.
I am watching scary things. I watched a movie on Shudder. It was called The Dark and the Wicked. I don't know if you've seen it.
No.
It's about like this son and daughter go back to their farmhouse. Their dad is having ailments, and he's like slowly passing away. It was a pretty decent movie. It's some scary stuff happening, some brutal stuff happening. But the part that's funny is, you on social media, I'm always posting movies I watch, and I give like a brief little summary of like a general thoughts on the movie. No one ever, I've never had, no one from any movies have ever commented or liked anything. I had the actor from The Dark and the Wicked.
Oh.
He hearted it, and I was like, oh, cool. The thing is, I said those nice things. I was like, it's scary, brutal, but I was like, the ending is shit. And I gave it a 3.5. So he commented and said, haha, sorry we let you down. Maybe try Paw Patrol.
Oh,
He roasted you.
He did. And I was going to be like petty and go back, but I was like, what am I doing? I was like, he has every right. Like, I'm commenting on his movie. So I was like, he has every right to give me shit back. So I'm like, whatever.
Right.
And
That's
I was
what
just
it's like to be a critic.
Yeah. And I was like, all right, it's cool. And all I said was Paw Patrol doesn't have any finger chopping scenes in it. So it's not for me. But I was like, for what it's worth, your performance was really good as well. Because the lady that was in it, Marin something, she did a really good job. But it was just that ending. It was just trash.
And like when you love like you're enjoying something, and then they're like,
yeah,
like
I think that's what helped me give it even a lesser score was the fact that everything else was great, and I was like, that ending was just poop.
Wow.
You needed to.
Yeah.
Now all I can think about is a finger chopping scene in Paw Patrol.
Yeah, exactly.
I maybe would watch it at that point. So if that ever happened,
Ryder finally loses it or something.
He's like, yeah, AI is gonna take this over. Well, I'm gonna
Takes
chop
on Chase.
But yeah, I thought it was
While
funny.
Sky is like, guys, stop.
It's been forever since
I know
I've
too
watched.
many Paw Patrol character names.
I was gonna say you clearly babysit and have a lot of little kids in your lives your life.
It's a blessing and a curse.
But yeah, I thought it was interesting that a actor from a movie actually saw my Instagram post and then thought enough to comment on it. So it was kind of cool.
Next time you should be like, glad you have time to comment on my post.
That's what I was gonna say.
Is it because you're not acting? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you're not reading scripts. You're just reading social media posts.
Right? You got all this time in the world to come find my little post. But I have 200 followers.
There was a very big part of me that wanted to do that, and I was like, it's all right. It's cool.
He already has it bad. He was in a movie with a shit ending.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's the one who has to deal with it.
He was recently in a movie with Leonardo DiCaprio. I forget what it's called. It's got I think the woman's Native American.
Oh yeah.
In it, I forget what it's called.
I watched that movie. I can't tell you the name of it.
And he's
also good.
And so his name is Michael Abbott. He's also in the Fallout series.
Oh, okay.
So he's in some stuff.
He's
He's a good actor. But yeah, he didn't like me and wants me to watch Paw Patrol.
I mean, he's probably just like, I'm gonna get this guy.
Yeah.
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Thank you. That's exactly it. Killers of the Flower Moon.
Nice.
But then also, so Ian's been trying to watch more adult stuff, the horror stuff. Ian watched Paranormal Activity with me.
Oh, he did.
He did.
How'd he fare?
He was doing all right until the last scene. He had to hide, and we had a rough couple nights. And actually, last week, he had his first night terror.
Oh.
And it just so happened to happen on the same night that he spiked a fever.
Oh, God.
So I don't think I gave him enough Tylenol. He woke up completely hallucinating, and I couldn't. It was the scariest fucking thing.
Wow.
I couldn't get him to calm down, and he wasn't making any sense. When I eventually could understand what he was trying to say, he kept asking me to take him out of the house. It was terrifying. Carrie got on the phone with the after-hours pediatrician.
Oh, wow.
And, we waited for them to call us back. He eventually, chilled out.
There's not much you can do. I mean, I had him as a kid too, but there's really not much you can do than just wake him fully. He probably just wasn't fully. He was probably in between sleep paralysis and whatnot.
Yes, it was so intense. I was in the restroom and I just heard screaming.
Uh-huh.
And then I came out. Carrie was holding him, but he wasn't formulating any ideas of what was going on. Eventually, when he calmed down and his heart stopped racing, I was like, "Tell me what happened." So he heard some bumps in his closet, and the bumps wouldn't leave. So he freaked out, and that's when he wanted out of the house. And I was like, okay, well, we're okay now. I was like, I think you just have some remnants of Paranormal Activity still in you.
So
yeah,
Scream, yes. Paranormal Activity, too much for him.
Well, I figured Paranormal Activity because there's nothing grotesque and there's nothing sexual.
No,
there's some sexual stuff in Scream. So I was like, we'll hold off on this, but. Yeah, maybe a bad move on my part. Clearly.
I mean, but he wants to watch them too.
And that's the thing too. I'll never as long as there's nothing inappropriate in the movie and he wants to test it. When we watched it, I was like, all right, we're gonna watch it in a day, and I'm right next to you. Everything's cool. We're not in the dark. It's gonna take a bit of the sting away, but still, I applaud him for wanting to be brave, but sometimes there's repercussions for that.
Yeah. Good job, Ian.
But he's okay now.
It's only up from here.
So he'll be at the end of this episode. He's going to record I'm going to have him record his thoughts on the movie and maybe talk about his night terror a little bit. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
All right, guys. First segment, Dig Up the Bones. And this is where I introduce the movie we watched and give a brief summary. So Paranormal Activity is a supernatural / found footage horror film released on October 14th, 2007. Written, directed, produced, and cinematography by Oren Peli, He would go on to work mostly as a producer with the rest of the Paranormal Activity movies, but he also worked on Lords of Salem, Chernobyl Diaries, and the Insidious franchise. Also produced by Jason Blum, who would go on to be the founder of Blumhouse Productions. Sound design by David Barbie, who did work on the Star Trek 2009 film, and then also the TV series What We Do in the Shadows. Also on sound design was Edmund J. Koblenz. He also did work on 3,000 Miles to Graceland, The Game, and Desperado. Distributed by Paramount Pictures in North America, and then internationally it was distributed by IM Global. Budget for this film, $15,000 plus $250,000 post-production, and then box office was $194.2 million. All right, sequels, prequels, plenty here. So Paranormal Activity 2, that came out in 2010, and then you had the third one came out in 2011. The fourth one came out in 2012, and then we had the spin-off series, which is Paranormal Activity, the marked ones, that came out in 2014. The Ghost Dimension came out in 2015, and then the last one that came out was Next to Kin, which I think went straight to streaming on Paramount, and that came out in 2021. Starring Katie Featherston as Katie. She's got a few TV credits, but mostly she's just been in the Paranormal Activity universe. Micah Sloat, who played Micah, or Mika, however you say it. His only credits are the Paranormal Activity movies. And then Dr. Fredericks who was a psychic, was played by Mark Fredericks. And then Amber Armstrong played Amber, who was Katie's friend. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, there we go. I love it.
This is the part where we jump in and we get into the meat of it. So, guys, let's get into Feasting Fiends. In this, we discuss the topics of overall pros, overall cons of the movie, characters, dialogue, and then our favorite kills/scares. So, first up with pros, Nathan, take it away.
So, what I love a lot about this movie is the fact that it feels, in most cases, like authentically how a couple would talk to each other.
Absolutely.
And like I felt like this was definitely an amateur recorded video. It didn't feel too overproduced. I liked the fact that the house was looking like a normal house, not super terribly staged. I liked that feel of the movie, that it had that authenticity that you would want with a movie that's trying to do what it's trying to do. And it was very accurate there, and I liked that a lot. And it's got its definite jump scare moments and subtlety as well, which is great with a horror movie, especially a psychological one, sort of like this. It's giving you subtle things leading up. It's a slow burn, and I like that sometimes too.
Yeah.
So great. Yeah.
Anything else?
I think that's really it.
Yeah. All right.
Great.
All right. I'll take it from there.
Yeah, let's go.
So I think it really revolutionized what found footage is.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Blair Witch kind of tipped the scale a little bit. I think Paranormal Activity tipped it all the way over because they're two different found footage types.
Absolutely.
With Blair Witch, you still had like the running and the shakiness of what found footage is, but it was definitely terrifying. Blair Witch was, and they had us all believing that shit was real.
Yeah.
Whereas Paranormal Activity did it with just one camera.
Yep.
With mostly a still frame shot, and I think that was genius. So. One camera, one shot equals great results. It's actually scary in my eyes. You know, I had to convince myself when I saw it that it was not real.
Yeah.
And that, because I'm scared. I've had some paranormal stuff happen to me, like experiences and whatnot. And I have night terrors and sleep paralysis demons and all that shit. So like when you see things like that, like you're like, well, is my demon going to start like attacking me and making noises and shit like that? But I had to convince myself that the demon was attached to Katie in the movie. So I'm like, it can't get me in my home because Katie's not in my house. Yeah. So
unless your demon's sitting on the couch with you watching going, this is about to be you. It's about to be you.
I'm about to imprint on you.
It's very much a product of like the marketing though for this film. It was
exactly.
given to us as like there was no like the trailer for it is nothing but like audience reactions. So like they weren't setting it up as a movie. They were setting up as we found this thing and we wanted to show you guys.
Yeah.
So it's very much like we're watching a home video.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So it was very scary. That's why I wanted it on the movie. I wanted a good like jump scare type of movie. We don't always get those. Sometimes it's a lot of just like kills and death and gruesome.
Yeah,
just
exploding
brutalness instead of
homeless
scary
people. But I wanted something actually scary. But and then I wrote the cinematography just like you. I just thought it was very simple.
Yeah.
It was well done, and it does come across what it is, and it also isn't to the point where like you're like, oh, I feel seasick either. but it's still found footage. Like even when they're walking around with it, it was steady enough where I could enjoy it. So I had the cinematography as one of my pros. Nice. And that's about it.
I'll always be in a camp where I think less is more. I think a lot of movies, they'll show the entity, the demon, the ghost, they'll show it way too soon. We never saw anything.
Nothing.
And I loved the steady progression of the things building up.
Maybe the footprints.
Yeah.
That's all we saw.
But, that was much later in the movie.
Prints.
And it was like, I think it might have been the first time like there was physical evidence of it.
Yes.
We heard stuff. There's great, bumps in the night, but that was the first physical evidence of it. I also, with the less is more, this cast, I mean, the fact that it was just essentially 2 people, but I still didn't feel like bored by just living this life with these 2 people. Like, I think the less was more is also there as well.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get into the cast more, but Katie's a very relatable person.
I agree.
She looks like, I think everyone who watches this movie goes, that girl looks familiar.
Yeah.
It looks like someone you know, because if you go look at her, like, resume of she's not done much.
No.
So it's not like you've seen her in other shows or movies. So like they really casted it well.
Yeah. But also the structure of the film, like how at night was a still camera shots of stuff going on, and then afterwards they had their reactions to it and all those problems. So it's great. And Hell House LLC did the same thing too, where they would capture stuff and then they would look back at the footage they got, and then they would react to it then. So I love when a found footage film does that, because we get what's happening in the moment, but also like it's also building the fear and the characters. So whenever they do that, I applaud it. It's like it's a good setup for the film for all these crazy shit happening.
Yeah.
But the last thing I'll say that we haven't already said is the sound design is everything in this movie. The 2 guys, which is David Barbie and Edmund Coboltz, they did phenomenal work, whether it was the growls, the footsteps, the humming that's going on. Like, and the first time I watched this movie was back when I
saw it in theaters.
You saw it in theaters?
Yeah.
I didn't. I saw it on Netflix when they first started streaming. I was sitting at my computer and I had my headphones on. So when you have your headphones on and you get this sound design, it's chef's kiss.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal, and you see, like, you hear the sounds traveling from right to left and all this awesome work that they did. So sound design, applaud, loved it.
Can I say one more thing? Because I meant to say this. I haven't watched this movie in a long time, and I did originally see it in the theater. And I know a lot of times, like with age, sometimes I knock down movies because they should be seen a certain way, or like I feel like my life has changed a little bit.
Yeah.
Do I think seeing this movie in the in the theaters is 100% better than watching it in your house? Yes.
Yeah.
It's not as impactful, and you're almost like sitting there like, I'm bored, because it's just literally like them setting up a camera at night. However, I won't let the fact that it doesn't translate as well from theater to home ruin the fact that it was just still scary. Right. Even in my house the other night watching it, I was like, oh God, I can't.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to mention that this movie is 100% better in the theaters, but it doesn't. I'm not letting the time ruin that for this movie. So
right,
absolutely. Great. Let's move on into cons. Nathan,
right.
you got any cons?
I do. I have a few. So I know how you said, and you made the comment that it didn't get you seasick. Sadly for me, it did.
Oh.
Now I'm very sensitive to motion sickness. Like I used to be able to do that stuff all the time. Like I would be able to watch my own found footage. My grandfather got me a video camera when I was a kid because I was really into filmmaking stuff. And I was the trembliest child with a camera. Yeah. So I would show my dad. My dad would be like, because he has the same situation that I have now where I can't watch super shaky footage of really anything. And footage that moves too fast. I even do the same with roller coasters. I'm getting better now, but watching it during my wife and I watched it yesterday, so I'd be fresh for today. And we're sitting on the couch, and I'm like, all right, I have to look away. I'll listen, but I have to look away because I'm starting to get a headache.
Okay.
Just because it's very, very shaky for me on that end. And even when we saw it in the theater, it was tough for me to be able to get through it all the way. With that. But I'm like, I'll look to the side. I'll look at my peripherals a little bit and still know what's happening with the story. But yeah, no, that definitely still got me. And I'm like, man, I feel old because it's just like all the stuff.
Yeah.
And then the other con is the Micah character. I hate that guy so much. And it was funny, as we were watching it, my wife said something like, this is the kind of man we're leaving behind. We're canceling this kind of man.
Yes.
Because he was just, I mean, the actor played it very well. He played that douchey boyfriend very well.
Antagonist of the movie.
Exactly. And he's like, I'm going to fix it. I'm going to raw dog it and kill the demon myself. I'm like, absolutely not. You are not going to do that. You scrawny little man. and I'm like, you know what, Katie, you could do better. Right. Even though you have a demon attached to you, you could do better.
Yes.
No, I like that one.
But yeah, no, it was that, and like certain shots were interesting. Like I felt like in certain ways they were using the found footage as just look at us, look what we're doing. Like it seemed like there was a lot of I'm gonna shake the camera around, I'm gonna do this sort of stuff just to give you that feel. And once again, that was just something that I just couldn't handle as much. But yeah, no, that's really I can think all on the con side. At least on my end, for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, on that note,
there you go.
His name is Micah, not
Mika.
I thought
what
that too.
the fuck?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Every time she's like Mika, I'm like, it's Micah.
It's Micah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What a choice.
What is that?
I think we actually made that comment yesterday. We're like, that seems like a weird way to say his name.
Yeah.
What a fucking choice.
I don't know.
That was that's the sentence. His name is Micah.
Yeah.
Not Micah. I think you lose the story sometimes. With overall what's happening, like them swimming in the pool and like little shit here and there.
Mm-hmm.
The story could be more clearly explained. What happened to her, why she has this, like not why she has, we don't know why anyone has a demon imprint on them, but I just feel like the story gets pushed to the side a little bit because maybe of Mika's, overbearing personality, not really listening to her and how she feels. So like, I lose the story a little bit. I will say that overall. I mean, you get the explanation when the doctor's there, but like that's pretty much the only time you visit it. Other than that, it's just them dealing with these noises and whatnot that happen.
I kind of wish the demonologist character would have showed up.
Yes,
that was one of my cons.
Yeah, really?
I wanted the demonologist. No, but that's great. I agree 1,000%. But
yeah. And then I have that a day trader and a student live in a 2-story house with a pool in San Diego. Psh.
That's such an adult con too, right? It's like, how the fuck are they affording this shit?
In
Crazy.
San Diego.
I know.
2 stories. I bet you there's a basement.
With a pool?
With a pool.
Oh my gosh.
Travolta lives there now. It's that expensive.
Also, at one point, I was like, they have 2 different living rooms. Like, there's one with like leather couches and one with soft couches. I was like, what are you doing?
Oh my gosh.
And as I was watching it, I'm like, man, look at the size of those screens.
Oh,
yeah.
Look at those tubes.
One of those big screens, I think it was like in the kitchen area, took up the whole like wall to wall. And I'm like,
and they had that stereotypical lamp that everybody had in their house in the 90s. Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And we know now that that's actually the director's house. So
I know,
I'm like,
yes. Yeah.
Oh, no wonder.
Fun fact. Fun fact.
Oh, good to know. I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah. But I was just like, I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, what are these? First of all, they never go to work.
Yeah.
If he's a day trader, when is he day training? I don't.
Yeah.
You never sell it.
All he's doing is looking at video.
In between checking the spooks out. He's like,
spooks at night.
Sell. Bye.
So I was so wrapped up in the logistics of what these people do for a living and how they're affording this house that like I was like, fuck these people.
That's the fun part.
They deserve the demon.
That's the fun part of like getting older and watching like horror films that are like in a house. You're like, how are they affording this shit? It's like watching HGTV. It's like, what? A day trader and a student? Bullshit.
This guy trains hamsters professionally and his wife stays at home. Their budget is $3 million.
There's a lot of money in the hamster game, man.
Yeah, right.
No, gotta tap into it.
So those were my cons.
Yeah.
Which one is petty? I guess I don't know. That's all I could think about.
All valid, I had to say.
So I got a petty one and a legit one. So the demonologist, Dr. Avery's, I really wish that he would have showed up. So Katie called him. He wasn't available, and they brought back the psychic. But I really wish the demonologist would have showed up. And at least, like, I don't need a clear picture painted of which demon it is that's messing with Katie.
Yeah.
But at least if we could get an allude to, like, what type of demon it is. Like, something a little bit of a backstory, too. So I think the demonologist would have helped out this movie a lot with, create some lore. Let's start something here. So that was a miss for me. And then here's the petty one. Every time that Mika grabbed the camera at night and was moving around, for God's sakes, pick up your feet. The shuffling of his dirty day trader feet on the wood floor was grinding my gears. I didn't like you anyway, then the way you walk and scuffle about your house really, really turned the screws to me.
Fuck that guy.
Scuffling jerk.
Pick up your feet, you dirty
fuck you,
day
Mika.
trader.
Your name Mika.
So yeah, those were my cons.
Mika, wow. Yeah.
So I like that we have petty cons and then like legit cons. Like we're having fun here.
Yeah.
It's good. I love it.
All right, go ahead.
No, I was just saying we can all agree on one thing. Micah can
perfect
it.
The way that the psychic came back and noped before he even got in the door. I'm like, I want to go to parties like that now. I'm gonna walk up to the door and be like, I can't. The vibe in here, I just can't do it.
And then they would be like, but what do you? Nope.
No, I have to leave.
No,
I have to
leave. But
leave.
like, what can you do? No.
Can you be? Nope. Can you help me? No. You know what? We'll call you back another day. I want to help you, but I gotta go. Yeah. I gotta leave.
Me being here is making it worse.
It is.
That is such a relatable statement. Me being here is making it worse.
That is okay. I'm gonna. That was gold.
We're all taking that line now.
That is amazing.
It's in the back pocket forever. Well, this is perfect because, guys, we're getting ready to get into characters. So let's chop it up, Nathan. We'll throw it to you first. I know you talked about Mika a little bit, but
so Mika, complete and total tool.
Yes.
Like I was, and I'm watching it, and like I'm gonna fix it thing. I mean, I'm like, okay, that's very much a trope of just like that's this sort of thing. Let's make the guy fix all of it, and he's like, oh, you don't want me to get a Ouija board? I'm gonna, and it's gonna burst into flames. But no, like it was just such a douche bag, and I'm like, you know what? Like I said, Katie, you deserve so much better.
You do.
You're already dealing with some nonsense. You don't need 2 demons in your life. Get rid of this man.
2 demons.
My brother Katie's like, I told you not to get a Ouija board, and you get one of the nicest looking Ouija boards I've ever seen.
Seriously.
Yeah, like gotta go for his attention.
Fanciest.
Yeah, no, he borrowed it or whatever. I don't know. But
I didn't buy it.
Yeah.
I borrowed.
Yeah, technically I didn't buy. And when he said that, my wife was like, "Of course he said that." Typical douchey man.
Exactly.
But yeah, the guy who played him did it very well, and it was a believable d-bag. I liked the girl who played Katie. I actually, as we were watching the movie yesterday, I followed her on Instagram.
Oh, nice.
And I'm like, she still looks the exact same, but she does like cons and things. And
nice.
She had Paranormal Activity in her because I think she did. Did she do one of the sequels? I haven't seen any of the sequels.
She was definitely in 2 because they continue the story of Katie.
And
I think there's mention of her family in the 3rd one.
She shows up. I don't want to ruin it. She's in the 3rd one. I'm not going to say where she shows up.
These movies have been out for years.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen 1, 2, and 3 by now, sorry, Nathan.
Yeah.
But there is a whole kid storyline in the 3rd one with a little ghost demon called Toby.
Toby, yeah.
Which I know that's a trivia question, and I will never forget Toby's name.
Perfect name for this.
Love trivia.
But so she continues she's in 2, and that's why things are happening in 2. And then I think she's kind of connected to 3. After 3, I think it kind of goes.
Go somewhere else.
So in the 4th one is Hunter from the 2nd one.
Okay.
He shows up, but Katie is his like guardian.
Yes.
And so she shows up there.
Oh, that's right. I feel like I've seen that one.
And then she shows up in the marked ones.
Okay.
At the
end.
I
haven't seen Next to Kin or marked ones.
Next to Kin is great.
Okay.
I just watched it. I only saw the first 4, so I watched, I guess, the sequels or spinoffs.
You watched them all?
I watched them all, and Next to Kin is awesome.
Okay.
The last one, I think it was just streaming straight to
It's hard to
Paramount.
get Sherry to watch any of these scary movies.
Yeah.
I got her to watch this one, and I fall asleep all the time watching movies, and she watched me like a hawk. Because if I had fallen asleep, she was going to be like, I'm changing it. But I didn't fall asleep. And we watched the whole movie.
All right, so characters. What do you say?
Yeah,
Shelly?
I know I shit on Mika a little bit, but I think they carried it as a pair.
They did, yeah.
For the movie as a whole. I think they could have gotten rid of any of the B characters, and we would have still had the same movie. The friends that were the friend that was
Amber.
randomly there.
The bead friend, Amber.
The bead friend.
Yeah, she was. Oh my gosh! And within the first 10 minutes, Katie sewed a scarf and made earrings and a bracelet. It was like, oh, she's a crafty bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's making it for your boy, the demon.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
for the demon. But yeah, I feel like none of the B characters had anything added.
Yeah.
I mean, the doctor maybe if you needed to keep one, but you could have gotten rid of they even
There could have been a phone call. It could have been an email.
Yeah, exactly. An email.
A Skype.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But they credited other people, the mom, Micah's mom. But I think that was on a phone or something like that.
Well, I know they casted stuff, but
Yeah.
they didn't. I don't know if there's cuts where those people are in it, but they never did anything in the film. Like Dr. The demonologist. Avery's, yeah. Johann Avery's. He was
What
casted.
a great doctor name.
I know, it's great. I love that name.
Yeah.
But nothing. We didn't get him.
Yeah, it's a very small cast, so there's not a lot to chew on.
Yeah. It was funny with the relationship with Katie and Micah. It started off cute, and I believed it. Like he was being a bit perverted with the camera.
I was about to say he kept pushing her. It was a very baby, it's cold outside. You want to film us? And she's like, no. Take the hint, buddy.
Yeah, you know what's unfortunate is that does not go away in the next couple films.
Great.
The men are constantly trying to record themselves with the women. It gets a little too much. But at first, like, it was cute, but then, like, as soon as Katie started talking about bringing in the psychic and looking for outside help, then you saw Micah's God complex.
Yep.
And all these, all the bad sides of Micah started to show then.
Yeah,
so.
the moment that he's like, I'm not going to be the savior of this. Somebody else is going to do this. Heck with that. No, no way.
So that's when it quickly went downhill. And like Shelley said, Katie was very relatable. And like you were rooting for it. And actually, at the end, and we'll talk about it when we get there, I was very ecstatic for her.
Yeah.
All right, let's go into dialogue. Nathan, what do you got?
It was interesting. Like I said, I actually turned to my wife and I'm like, we've had conversations like this before, like just little arguments and things and just little nitpicky stuff that those characters did. I thought the dialogue was good. He kept saying chill a lot to her, and these days I'm like, if I told my wife to chill, I wouldn't have been here today. First of all, you'd be visiting my gravesite.
Yeah.
But like the way that it was also, I'm looking at the time because it was technically it was set in 2006.
Yeah.
The characters were, but I was just like, okay, this is still how people talked in that time, and that was still like the 90s phraseology coming over, in that adult couple. But I thought it was believable. Like the only dialogue that I really didn't believe was from that extra friend, because I'm like, it was just because she wasn't as good of an actor as the rest of them, and it was kind of like, oh, you just threw this person in, you auditioned him yesterday and brought him in. So I'm like, that really wasn't needed. But I liked a lot of the conversation, and I'm like, some of this feels like it was probably improvised in certain ways, because if you think about it, I'm not sure how they shot it, or if there was like earbuds or whatever in the actors telling them to do certain things, but like it just the dialogue felt more natural in some ways. And there was some cliche dialogue, obviously, that I noticed throughout, but it felt more conversational between a couple that's been together for, 3 years, I think they said.
Yeah.
It felt normal.
Do you want me to drop the fun fact?
Yeah, go ahead, do it.
I dropped the fun fact. They weren't given a script.
Really?
There's no script.
Yep.
They gave them ways to react and things to discuss.
Yep.
So almost like improvise.
It was.
So they said, you're scared in this scene, and you're going to talk about the footprints in the powder.
Yeah.
That seems very Curb Your Enthusiasm, but
very
horror
much.
movie.
Yeah. So they weren't given any script, all that dialogue. So the fact that you picked up on it feeling very natural, it was very natural.
Yeah.
So, and kudos to Micah and Katie for having like this great charisma, like feeling like a natural couple, even though they probably were complete strangers.
And he was actually pretty decent on guitar.
Yeah, he was.
His first he did like some sort of blues scale or something.
Yeah.
I was like, that's grating on me. I said, it's like some sort of like a little bit abrasive, I guess, scale. But his next little jazzy number, I was like, all right, I guess he does know how to play guitar.
Yeah, that's probably something he had on his resume. And they're like, you know what, play guitar for a minute, just to be normal person.
Yeah,
this guy has a life
Relatable.
in music we don't know about. Yeah,
not as douchey.
Yeah,
if you play the guitar. Well, I had one line that I wanted to call out.
Yeah,
where Micah, finds some information, is watching the videos, and he goes over what demons are, and he said basically they're these malevolent evil spirits that only exist to cause pain and commit evil for their own amusement. It's pretty creepy. I mean, they stalk people for years, like decades, and sometimes they're really intelligent in the way they do things to freak you out. So I thought that was a good little, like, here's some of the story, and here's some, like, here you go. Here's a little food.
Little nuggets.
Little nuggies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little nuggie.
And for Micah too. He was trying to do research, but it didn't fix his personality.
Stupid.
When he was doing research in a book, I'm like, I'd be researching on my phone. Look how archaic this is. And when they found the website for that, the girl had gone,
the DOS site.
Yeah. I was like, look at that Microsoft front page looking HTML. Website
So abrasive,
and then they showed him editing.
I know the black background with the red.
Oh yeah, and they showed him editing the audio, and of course it's Audacity. And I'm like, this is a very old version of Audacity.
I use Audacity. I'm like, woo, I know that.
Oh yeah,
program.
And I remember that exact version of it, and I'm like, oh man, some things they've just made it a little.
There's always updates.
Little cleaner now.
Yeah,
I was like, wow, this really dates this movie.
Oh, I love Audacity. They should sponsor us. But yeah,
thank you, Audacity.
No, that was a great dialogue. We got a little nuggies, a little backstory,
and that's what I wanted. I wanted nuggies.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, who doesn't?
But yeah, I'll just add the line that I like. We pretty much discussed the characters. I mean, there's not a lot of meat when it comes to the characters in this film, But I'm sorry, the dialogue of this film.
Right.
But I did like the first little night, the jump scare. Well, it wasn't a jump scare, but the thing that happened where the keys were thrown on the floor.
Oh, yeah.
And then Micah just said in the morning when Katie brought it to his attention, he just said, well, obviously this is incontrovertible evidence that evil forces came from beyond the grave to move your keys. And I thought it was a fun line for Micah. But also, what the fuck is incontrovertible? Is that the same as like...
Incomprehensible,
well, it sounds like
indisputable,
yeah.
irrefutable.
Yeah. So I was like incontrovertible.
It sounds like controversy. So
yeah, I know
you
that's
can't
like
have a controversy if they move your keys.
Yeah,
maybe I don't know.
It was morning brain.
Morning brain. Yeah, that's true.
I don't think I could say that big words in the morning.
I know.
I
Really.
can't say big words.
I struggle.
Clearly.
I struggle halfway through the day.
Malevolent.
So yeah,
Malevolent.
malevolent. All right.
Hope you like it.
Hope you like
Malevolent.
it.
Malevolent. I can't end it without. I need the last part. Malevolent.
Moving on. All right. Favorite kills or scares, Nathan?
Oh man. Okay. So my favorite is probably like scares wise because we're just like absolutely not get this out of my house. Is when the bed sheet does the first like
ooh yeah,
and I'm like, he just wants to cuddle. He's cold. if they're cold, if we're cold, they're cold.
Yeah,
Come on.
Let them in.
Bring them inside. Don't leave them outside.
But one thing I was waiting for, and I kept teasing. We had another friend who was watching it with us, our friend Ty, and we were sitting there, and the white teddy bear that's in the end hallway.
Yeah.
I'm like, that teddy bear is coming to life.
Oh.
Or there's gonna be a head. It's gonna go, huh? And the head's gonna turn, and it's gonna be like in the back. They're not gonna draw much attention to it, but we are gonna see it. And I'm like, that would have gotten me hard. But it was when the whoosh and like the shadow on the door.
The shadow on the door, yes.
Yes, that what got me. I was like, all right, no, that's, I'm like, burn the house down.
Yes.
I'll do it before the demon does. I'll burn this to the ground. It's like when she saw the cockroach, I'm like, oh, that's funny. People are like, oh, get rid of it. I'm like, no, the demon burned the house down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Terrifying.
Yeah. They had 4 bedrooms at least in that house.
Yeah, and they were made up for
and
people.
they had queen size beds in the spare rooms. Who's coming to visit you?
Oh my gosh.
And your demon.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, it's empty because they're like, we're not going to stay there. We're going to stay at the Holiday Inn down the road. We're not staying in Demon House.
Anyways, I was back on my shit about a day trader and a student owning that house, but I was like, they have at least 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms.
Yeah,
I've seen 3.
Yeah. Crazy.
Fuckers.
But that was a great little the sheet moving was amping it up. It was fantastic.
Like subtlety and just psychological scares is kind of what I kind of like.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Shelley?
I'm gonna give it to the last 10 minutes. I mean,
the
it's
whole thing.
Just it's nerve wracking. You know, I knew like the end scene. I've seen it before. I know it's gonna happen, but I was sitting there like, don't look, like, and I did cowered a little bit behind, like, I was like, So the fact that can still get me, because you're waiting for the things to happen. You're just looking. What animals who sleep with their door open?
Yeah, no, my door's shut.
Yeah.
Unless we let our dog sleep in the room with us, because he'll go back and forth. But I'm like, no, my door's closed.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ugh, fuckers.
Actually, you know what? We do sleep with our door open just a little bit for Ian.
Yeah.
But that's it.
That's one thing.
Yeah.
And I had a cat. I slept with my door cracked open.
There you go.
Now, fuck that shit.
No.
Doors are shut.
Fuck that noise. Bad enough that my neighbors have a motion sensor light that comes on all night.
God. Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
Every little thing.
That's scary enough. I don't need my door open too.
Yeah.
Anyways, last 10 minutes.
Yeah, last 10 minutes were
Scared
great.
the shit out of me.
Yeah.
So.
I liked specifically, I loved in the last 10 minutes was when she got drugged from the bed. It was the first, like he grabbed her, drug her out. Like, you know, our first time we saw physical presence was the footsteps with the powder and stuff, which I thought was pretty ingenious and a great scene. But grabbing her and pulling her out of bed, it was just, and her scream, like she did phenomenal, like scream queen quality scream in that scene. So it was so intense, and then the fact that Micah had to go and he was able to rescue her, brought her back, and just like her hyperventilating on the floor in that scene, like you felt it. It was so intense, and it was an amazing scene. I loved it. And then for kills, the final scene, I loved it. All right, final cut, and this is where I go over the ending of the movie, and we give our ratings of 1 to 5 stabs. 1 stab is no redeeming value. 2 stabs bad, 3 stabs mediocre, 4 stabs good, 5 stabs masterpiece. Y'all ready?
Let's do it.
Let's do this. This one's much shorter. Look at that.
Yeah. 16?
17. Boom. Breaking records. All right. So, running out of options and with Dr. Avery's unavailable, Micah and Katie contact the psychic, Dr. Fredericks, again to come speak to them. When he shows up, though, he feels an overpowering evil presence and immediately leaves. That night, while sleeping, an entity moves the sheets on Katie and breathes on her, prompting her to wake up terrified. In the morning, Micah, after doing some research, finds a girl, Diane, who had the same issues as Katie and theorizes that whatever attacked Diane is now after Katie. Later, Micah finds Katie sobbing on the floor after they've had an argument over the persistence of Micah in playing Sherlock Holmes with her demon. Nighttime comes once again, and this time Katie is dragged out of their bed, kicking and screaming. Micah manages to rescue her. In the morning, they decide they will pack up and go stay in a hotel until they figure out what is going on. Later that day, Katie is found catatonic and clutching a cross in her bloody hand. Micah flips out and burns the cross in the fireplace. After packing up their car, Katie has a sudden change of heart and begs Micah to stay as her voice distorts. The final night, we see Katie awake in a possessed state, and she stares at Micah for almost 2 hours before heading downstairs. Suddenly, she screams out Micah's name, and with a very monstrous tone, he rushes to her. There's more yelling, a thud, then silence. Next, we hear heavy footsteps coming up the stairs, and Micah's body hurled at the camera. Katie's in the doorway with blood on her shirt. She gets on the floor, sniffs Micah, smiles, then lunges at the camera with a demonic face. The end. How did you guys feel?
Yeah,
about
terrifying.
Oh yeah, no, that
It was scary.
It was, and it was like the primal scream. And when you saw like when the camera faded in and you saw the shot of the room, and I'm like, oh, there's a foot exposed. She's done, because you can hide from a monster if you're fully under the covers.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
So that foot being out, he was like, mine.
I sleep with nothing, like no sheet or anything.
What?
So I'm just fully.
You're just like, come
I mean,
get
I'm
me.
in pajamas.
Come and get me.
No.
But I literally cuddle my sheet. Not
Yeah,
like,
come and get me. So that foot was out, and I saw him like drag. Oh God, there it goes, and then boom, out the. And I'm like, all right, yep, this was terrifying, frightening, and this is when it became like horror at that point for me. And yeah, no, it was genius.
They also have this like, she screams, he runs downstairs, and then there's like nothing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, oh, I totally.
That made actually a good sound effect for this, the low rumbling noise.
So like then you have like silence for a little bit, and you're like, what's gonna happen? And that's when I get really terrified, because I'm like, oh my God, something's gonna. And I know what's gonna happen. He's gonna get thrown at the camera. I know that's gonna happen, but I'm still like, because I don't want to like it to happen and like me be like caught off guard. So
no, I loved it. Like I said, I alluded to earlier. But I was happy to see Micah get his comeuppance. I was ecstatic. I actually, my theory before I watched the rest of these movies, but my theory at the end was that this demon was not actually a demon, but it was an angel that was sent to save Katie from a terrible relationship with a real monster, which was Micah, and it did its job and it saved Katie. So
you're so sweet.
This is a Disney movie that no one knows
Heart of
about.
an angel.
Yes. So it was an angel demon that was sent to take
This
out.
was the inspiration for Good Omens.
Oh yes.
There you go. Yes. So I liked it. I thought, like you said, the first 10 minutes is really where this amped up, and I thought it brought it to 11. And I love the less is more. I love it getting physical with them and dragging them out and throwing. It was great. I love the ending.
Yeah.
The friend we were, was watching it with when Micah was thrown at the camera, she's like, well, there's Micah. There he is. There's that guy. There's that guy.
He's back.
Yes, I believe Ty had
seen it before.
And or maybe didn't. I don't know. And we were watching it. We were just like, nope. No, like when certain things would happen, that's when you yell at the screen, no. And when we saw it in theaters, we saw it at a very, very packed theater in Atlanta, and everybody was screaming things like, don't go in that, no! Like, or like when I remember when at one point when you see the photo of them and his face is smashed on the side of it, and I heard people go, yep, it wants him, like that sort of, and I'm like, that's why you said the experience in a theater was also very interesting for that, especially at the ending, because everybody jumped when he got yeeted at the camera. And I'm like, and my first thought was, that was an expensive camera. He said it was like a day and a half of work, whatever he said it was. And I'm like, that was, wow. And for inflation, that camera would be so much more now.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
More adult thoughts on.
Yeah, I was about to say. I was thinking of the equipment.
That was right before the real estate burst, right? 2006.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, because we bought in 2007, which was the worst decision.
And then everyone foreclosed on those houses because
this guy included. But
wildness.
Yeah. All right, let's give it our stabs, Nathan.
Oh man. Okay. So I've been torn because I think this was, once again, it was very revolutionary in the found footage stuff. Because was it after this was like Cloverfield and all of those?
Cloverfield, Wreck,
yeah.
Or what was the U.S.
Hell
version?
House LLC.
Hell House
Well,
LLC.
REC, Wreck, and her.
Yeah,
I think it's same U.S. or Latin.
Quarantine was, I think, the
they were
with Jennifer Carpenter. Yeah.
Right. Like this movie was kind of like, you could say, the industry beta test for whether or not something like this would really work.
Yeah.
And it seemed like it did. And you know, people still watch it now, obviously, like we are now. And I'm sure people who listen to this will re-enjoy it again and go, okay, that's why.
Yeah.
And so I think for me, I would probably give it 4.
Nice.
I think that's where I'm going to stick. I was between 3 and 4, but I thought because of how innovative it was and how it kind of brought attention to this filmmaking style, I think it was great. And you know, the people did well who were in the movie, and I liked like this was the footage that we were given exclusive access to at the very beginning, like the you know the and then afterwards Katie's whereabouts remain unknown. Like, that's cool. Nice little cliffhanger, because they thought maybe we'll do something else with this.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, I enjoyed it. Other than having to turn away when the shaky got too shaky for me, I really I do enjoy the film.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, and fun fact on that note, there's actually no opening credits or ending credits for that movie. And even if you watch it like streaming today, it gets really weird at the end, because like the streaming service is like, I don't know what to do. There's no credits. Like, do I send you back to the screen? Like, mine was like, and
mine's like, you might also like, and here's every other sequel.
Paranormal Activity.
Yeah.
I kind of want to go on that journey now. Yeah.
You might like, Is It Cake?
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I do like Is It Cake.
So nummies.
All right, 4. Solid review, solid response.
What about you, Shelley?
I'm going to give it a 4 as well.
Nice.
I think it has a lot of good overall what I look for in a horror movie. It's scary. It's got an okay story, which sometimes you don't need that in horror. The acting was decent. We've seen a lot of movies with really bad acting, so it's produced well. It's shot very well. Yeah. It had a lot of things. I'm marking it down for a little bit for lack of story and maybe a little bit of the character development, but I'm gonna give it a solid 4 as well. Yeah.
I'm in the same boat with you. I'm at a 4, and for the same reasons. Like, you know, films we watched earlier this season that I've given out plenty of 5s this season. I think for a found footage, this couldn't do much more, but I think it also handicaps it, and I can't give it a 5 compared to, you know, The Exorcist or something like that, where a thought is complete and it's full and it's got a ton of different stuff going on. This is much more simplified, but it's still great. I love the building of the tension, but I landed on a 4 as well. Yeah,
very cool.
Awesome. You ready to get into Voices from Beyond? And that's where Shelley goes through all our social media and shares your guys' thoughts. So take it away.
So as always, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and YouTube under @LittleBracketOfHorrors. But yeah, so check us out on our socials, and let's get into it. So we have Matt F. put, personally, I'm not a fan of found footage horror. I stayed away from this franchise since the beginning. My daughter, however, has seen them all and loves them and has told me to watch them. So when the wheels spoke, I stepped up and gave it a go. I found this to be very slow moving with not a whole lot going on. I kept waiting for it to ramp up, but for me, it never did. Then the last 10 minutes, everything all of a sudden started to happen. Unfortunately, at the conclusion of the movie, I was left with tons of questions after mulling my feeling over for a few days. I now want to watch the rest of the franchise.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so he sat on it and he was like, okay.
His interest has been piqued. Nice.
Right. Thanks, good. Matt. Lisa C. said, I enjoy a good found footage. If done right, I think they nailed it in that aspect. As a standalone movie, I do enjoy it. The whole series I don't like. This is average for me. If it's on, I'll watch it, but I'm not like, ooh, put on Paranormal Activity. 3 stabs for me. Jeremy W. said, OMG, wow, talk about creepy. Was on the edge of my seat the whole time. And the end made my skin crawl. Good pick, 4 stabs. Roger R. said, I love me some Paranormal Activity. This, like Blair Witch, is found footage done right. Jennifer F. said, Tyler, who I believe is Jennifer's son, said he has trust issues with us now after we swore it was going to be great. I remembered it being so much better. I felt it was slow, and their bickering took away from the story for me. Something about the peanut gallery was popping. I guess she watched it with a bunch of people.
Yes. Yeah.
So she said, we may not have loved the movie. Jamie, her husband, did ask us twice if we got chills. Dead serious, which you could. Okay. But hanging out is always a good time. So I gave the movie a 2 out of 10, but the company a 10.
Oh, there you are.
And then on TikTok, at Grant Townsend 5 said, first 2 movies were good, but all the sequels were mid. But that one about the Amish people was sick.
That's the last one.
And then Ed Srenny 626 said, this movie gave me major nightmares. You're welcome. I made you watch it. And then heading over to Instagram, we have at Ray Medina 83 said, I think Paranormal Activity really recharged the found footage horror genre. The way that they integrated the modern technology of the home security cameras with the scares and the story really impressed me. Good acting and good storyline. Watch this one first before any other Paranormal Activity movie. So thanks, everyone.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks for always sharing. And for those of you who just always up for a ride with us and watch these movies.
Our good friend Brian, unfortunately, didn't have the means to watch it this time. We try to always pick streaming that is available to everybody, but we get it, and we appreciate you guys trying, even when we can't use Tubi or YouTube or anything like that.
Right.
So.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
All right, so next up we have Loose Ends. And this is where we have any last thoughts on a movie we want to talk about or fun facts. This is where we bring it. Nathan, did you have anything you wanted to share? Or?
I mean, I just think when it comes to realism, like I said, that was my big pro, I think, for this movie was just that it felt normal. It felt like a couple that anybody could relate to, minus, most people not having demons attached to them. But other than that, it get people hooked in because they're a bit of realism in it. They can relate a little bit of what they would do in the situation.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So, that's one of the reasons why I liked it.
Yeah, the only other fun fact I would want to bring up is Spielberg loves this movie.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty kudos to the director and filmmakers for this one.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I mean, and he even, I guess, tried to watch it and had to turn it off because it was too, realistic to him. So he finished watching it during the day and then was like, yeah, it's really good. He liked it.
Do you know about his involvement in
the
the
end?
end?
Said change the ending.
Yeah.
And I guess they did.
Yeah, because, and I have it in here.
I don't know what the original ending was supposed to be.
So I have it here. I'll share it. So the original ending was Katie waking up, standing at the bed, then going downstairs, calling out Micah in panic. Micah goes downstairs screaming, and we hear them freak out, and then quiet. So we hear someone coming upstairs, and it reveals just Katie with a bloody shirt and a bloody knife in her hand. She sits by the bed rocking back and forth for hours. It goes by quickly, and then her friend calls, and then she comes to visit the house, and we hear her downstairs. Freaks out, yells Mika's name, and leaves. And then a short while later, the police arrive at the house. There's 2 cops. They see the body, and they go upstairs, and they find Katie, and then she snaps out and panics and asks where Micah is, and she has the knife in her hand, and she goes to, step towards the cops, and they shoot her, and they kill her. And that's the original ending. And then there's an alternative ending as well.
Oh.
So I like the theatrical ending. I like what they gave us because I feel like Katie is the Skywalker of the Paranormal Activities.
Right.
So I'm glad that we got her family's lore fleshed out eventually. So I'm glad with the theatrical ending. But another alternative ending was very similar to the original one that I just said. But Katie, after she kills Micah, she comes upstairs, walks to the camera, and just slits her throat and kills herself.
Huh.
So
interesting.
There was another one. And actually, those are available on YouTube if you want to go check them out.
Oh, I had no idea.
I watched them this morning, but couple other endings.
Wow.
I will say, we didn't even talk about this for such a low budget film. The way they did, even him getting thrown out of the camera was done seamlessly very well.
Yeah,
for a stunt.
Oh, and there's one more thing I'll even say. This is so dumb, but when he is crawling into the attic and then he goes to find the photo, the one thing that I said during it, and I was like, the man just barefoot walked on insulation. Across
fiberglass.
I'm like, oh, gross.
Yes.
No, I was like, put some shoes, sock it, do something.
I would get a whole white suit for that job. I'm not going up there in my PJs.
And I'm like, first of all, that's also the worst attic ever. It doesn't have a little ladder that comes down for you. You got to bring one in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and he's going to go up there. He's going to, barefooted walk across some insulation. Man, you deserve to get yeeted by a demon.
Right?
Can you imagine all the insulation that got on the closet floor when he got out too?
No thanks.
The cleanup job. Ugh.
No, I'm not going into a scary room above my closet that I did not know existed.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
All right.
Or the attic. I've never even been in my attic in my own house.
I will refuse to go into mine.
I have no idea what's up there. I think there's some like old tiles and wood floors and shit. But
I looked in mine once.
It can stay.
Yeah.
I looked.
Other people have been up there
just to look at how much insulation if we needed more, and I was like, oh, I guess there's a spot over there, but I'm not going up there.
It'll wait.
Forget that stuff. Yes. Some other fun facts. I don't know if you said it, but so the filming was done in 10 days, but it was also at Oren Pelly's house. Did we say that?
Okay. I mentioned, but. Yeah.
And then Katie and Micah only received $500 in payment for their work initially, but due to the film's success, they were able to renegotiate. And then per a interview that I watched, Katie said, quote unquote, they were taken care of. So anyone who's worried about they weren't properly compensated, eventually they were.
Well, the movie cost $350,000 to make.
Yeah, so it was,
and it made millions.
Yes, it was $194 million.
Number 2 film to ever do that.
Yep.
You know what the number 1 is?
Blair Witch.
Yes, it is.
Blair Witch was $20,000
to make. It was like a really I want to say like 5 figures.
Yeah.
And then it made like $200-something million.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, $500 for 10 days of work in 2006, 7, 8.
Not bad.
Not bad for an actor.
I like when we talk high.
They do well.
And then my last fun fact I'll bring is so the idea for this film was Oren Pelly, who directed and wrote the film. One night while sleeping. Ooh.
That was a little jump scare.
Spooky
that was
Mike.
a jump scare for me.
Me and this Mike are just having a great time today.
That mic has a dirty demon attached to it. That's what's going on. But one night while he was sleeping, a box of laundry detergent fell off a shelf that was nowhere close to the edge. It was way back against the wall, and it woke him up when it fell off the shelf. And this was the birth of his idea for Paranormal Activity.
To think we all missed out on that money.
I know. If we just would have been more creative with our jump scares in real life. I know.
What's also crazy is after this movie came out, he's probably still lived in that house.
I think he does.
And like,
could you?
I mean, that's wild.
I don't think I could.
I'm like, I brought this energy in, and I mean, if that was technically a legit Ouija board that they used in the filming in his house, then there was a Ouija board in his house.
Just playing with stuff.
So like, and I mean, what if there was a demon in that house already? That's like, I'm right here, and you're bringing a fake one in.
Yeah.
Okay, like I can help you.
Fuck you, bitch.
Yeah, just invite me in.
Oh wow.
It's like flicking its hair back.
Like I'm much better than this guy. I'll actually possess the teddy bear.
That human-sized teddy bear that's in the corner. Yeah.
Yeah, that they have for no reason.
For the spare rooms where nobody's staying. Anyways. Day trader Mika.
All right, so let's get into our Wheel of Death. And this is where, first and foremost, we need to pick a movie to replace Paranormal Activity. Shelly, would you like to do it, or Nathan, would you like to do the honors?
Please do the honors to replace our movie. So there's a bunch of pieces of paper in there with potential films to go on our Wheel of Death.
Okay.
So pick one, and that's going to replace this on our wheel.
All right, let's see. And the film that I have pulled out of here, if I can undo it, it says 30 Days of Night.
Ooh, 30 Days of Night, a vampire flick.
A town faces off against bloodthirsty vampires.
Josh Hartnett, right?
Yes, he's in that.
Good old Josh Hartnett's coming out in another movie.
Is.
Yeah, he quit acting for a long time.
What's the movie called?
I don't know. It's about being trapped somewhere.
Yeah, they're at like a music concert.
Yeah.
30 Days.
Oh yeah, a concert. That's it.
Of Night.
30 Days of Night. That's a good title.
It's a Derek pick.
It's one of mine. 30 Days of Night. All right, so the
2007 again.
Hey, what do you know? Solid year for horror.
Clearly. All
right, so the 10 movies on the wheel are The Exorcist Believer, The Haunting, Lake Mungo, The Wailing, Behind the Mask, Leslie Vernon, The Babadook. Is it Babadook?
I think it's Babadook.
Babadook. So I am saying it right? Okay.
Babadook.
Yeah, that's what it was. Babadook. Babadook. Anyways, next movie, Children of the Corn. Then we got The Shining. Next movie, Event Horizon. And our final movie that replaced Paranormal Activity, 30 Days of Night. Are you guys ready?
Ready.
All right. Here we go.
Wheel of Death.
Wheel of Death. Wheel of Death. Wheel of Death. we have Behind the Mask, The Rise of Lev, which is great. Brian M, who was unable to watch with us this week. It is a fan-submitted movie, so Brian M, thank you for submitting Behind the Mask. We will be reaching out to you to see how you'd like to be involved in any way, shape, or form with the show. And then Shelly.
I'm pretty sure he owns that one.
Oh, great. Maybe we'll have a watch party with him. All right, so where's it streaming?
Right now, it doesn't look like it's streaming anywhere.
Okay.
But you should be able to rent it on any of the little platforms. It has to go to like Apple or Amazon or whatnot. It looks like it's $4 to rent. So.
Okay.
But yeah, if we find it streaming, sometimes we can dig up something on like YouTube and see if we can find something.
Yes.
Sometimes it's not named the same, but we can check it out. And if we find that link, we'll share it out to everybody.
Yep, absolutely. Just like Shelly said, just pay attention to socials, and if we find anything, you will find it there. So before we leave today, I want to thank Nathan again for joining us in person, sitting with us, recording for Paranormal Activity.
Absolutely. Loved being here.
Yeah, we loved having you. Hopefully, in the future, we'll reach out again. Maybe get you watch some more spooky movies with us.
I would love to. This is a great reason to do so. So
Perfect.
I'm all about it.
And please share your socials again, so
sure.
people know.
So if you want to follow me, it's at Burly Nathan, at BURLY Nathan on Instagram, TikTok. You can find me Nathan Doherty on Facebook. But yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was a ton of fun.
Awesome. All right, so next up,
I got nothing.
You got okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I need to give you a chance, though.
I don't know.
Are you
just going to steamroll over it?
You looked at me like, you got something? I was like, I got
Are there any
nothing.
shows on your radar, Shelly, that you're trying to do
No,
anywhere?
no, I'm done for the season. Not a lot of people know this. I don't do back-to-back shows.
It is the worst. Do not do. Oh God, I hate that.
I don't do back-to-back shows. I'm too old for that shit. Especially after this show, I still have bruises that have not gone away yet.
Oh no, it was a physical role though, very physical.
Nothing for this season. We have Spooky Empire coming up in May, and then I know you have titleless show.
Oh yeah, that's
summer.
right. Sorry, I didn't drop my shows.
Yeah.
So in August of this year, I'm doing a show called Title of Show. That's actually what the show's called. It was on Broadway back in actually around the time of Paranormal Activity.
Yeah.
Oh.
In like 2009, 2010, it left Broadway and it became licensable, so like local theaters could do
perfect.
it. So my wife and I produced it when it was first available after Broadway. We did it at the Palladium Theater in St. Pete back in 2010, 2011. And this year, 8 O'Clock Theater over in Largo announced that they were doing the show. And they asked me to be in it with them because they're like, well, you had done this before. There was an actor who dropped out, but they said, hey, will you come play this role? I'll be playing it opposite the guy who I played it with in 2010.
But
the
you
same
switched,
exact guy.
you did a character
And now we
switch,
switched the roles, yes. And then recently, my wife, who was actually in the production we did back in 2010, was asked to take over the role she played again and do it again. So now the three of us, it's only 4 people in the show.
Yeah.
3 of us who were in it back. We were the first people to do it in Florida too. So now we get to do it again. I'm revisiting a new role. Taryn's revisiting the same one. So that's in August. I believe it's the first or second weekend. I'm terrible
It's
at
early
that.
in the season.
It's early.
Yeah.
And then if you are in Orlando next on May the 4th, I'm hosting it's called Tauntauns and Tatas. It's a burlesque show at Imagine Performing Arts Center in Oviedo, which is right near Orlando.
Okay.
And you can follow me at Burly Nathan and get tickets for that, but I'm hosting that show. And there's, I think, like 10 burlesque performers in that one. It's a very stacked show. Oh, wow. Lots of great performers. So
we talked about the Western Museum. Anything coming up at Aspirations Winery?
Aspirations Winery, if you follow them online, that's a great winery over in Clearwater, and I help them with their events. For my birthday this year, actually, we're doing a roast for me.
At Aspirations, right?
At Aspirations.
Nice.
And,
That's awesome.
It's going to be a roast and a burlesque show, and we're doing it as a fundraiser for Aspirations Winery so we can build their performance space bigger in the back room.
Yeah.
It's a really cool spot, and my wife and I wrote a murder mystery musical. We performed it back there, and ever since then, he's like, please bring more shows here, because murder mystery sold out both shows. And so we've been thinking of some fun things to do. So we're going to do this roast. It's going to be my birthday show. Bring people out, suggested donation of $20 at the door. And you come in, you see a great show. There's food and drink and lots of things. So I'll post anything that I'm doing on my at Burly Nathan on all the platforms.
We'll reach out.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And we will definitely be sharing those events when they come up for sure.
For sure. And if you guys have any promos and stuff, I'll put on my podcast, the BurlyNathan Show, which you can listen to in all the same places.
Awesome.
Great. That's awesome.
Very cool.
All right, ready?
Ready to wrap it
Let's
up.
close her
Let's do
out.
it.
All right, so next episode drops May 8th. If you listen on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please hit the follow button and give us a rating and review if you like what we do. You can find us on Facebook and TikTok by searching Little Bracket of Horrors, and on Instagram by typing at Little Bracket of Horrors. We also have merch available at tpublic.com. Just search our name in their website search bar or pay attention to our socials for a direct link. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I'm Derek.
I'm Shelly.
And I'm Burly Nathan.
Heck yeah. And we will catch you on the other side.
I would never.
I was waiting.
I would never.
Okay.
I'm not Matt.
Awesome. All right. We'll move on. Let's go. All right. So third question.
It's gonna be okay.
I know. It's so funny because I was, we'll get into it later, but I was like, man, I need to like talk to someone about my anxiety of like talking and being on mic because it's something like 3 years later I'm still dealing with.
It happens sometimes.
And you have undiagnosed ADD. We know that. So.
Exactly. nothing treated. So this is all just raw.
I think that's what makes the best kinds of podcasts.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And when you put people like us on mics and you're like, what are we going to do?
Everyone
And
has
here we
mental health illnesses, and that's
100%.
That's what makes it better.
That's what you get when you turn 30. Here's the illness.
Yeah. And it unchecked, it just like it comes to the surface when you're in your 30s.
You're like,
oh no.
Anxiety.
You're just at a Publix and you're like, I'm going to put these crackers in my, oh my God. Anxiety.
Dread
You're
fills your soul. Should I get these crackers? What crackers should I get?
Oh God, these have gone up in price.
Oh my God.
Publix with their bright lights,
Inflation.
just way too much.
Yeah, absolutely not.
So, like Nathan said, I'll always be in the camp. That was fun.
That was my throat. It was just like.
It's like, I want out.
That's the demon.
That's the demon.
That's my sleep paralysis demon.
When I had when we watched it, we had the captions on and it just says like low rumbling noise. That was your demon being like,
that was my demon.
This is the slow burn. This is where it starts for you.
Sorry, guys.
Hi, guys. This is Derek with Little Bracket of Horrors, and we have a special little Voices from Beyond from Ian.
Hello.
What's up, Ian?
Hi.
For those that don't know, Ian's got a little side podcast with us called Little Ian of Horrors. And Ian, you stepped up and you were a brave boy. You reached out to me, obviously, because you live in the same house as I. But you wanted to watch Paranormal Activity with me. And I made maybe the bad choice to say yes. Do you think it was a bad choice?
It's not your fault. It's Mom's fault.
What?
Yeah.
Whose fault is it?
Mom.
Why is it Mom's fault?
She didn't tell us to stop.
You're blaming it on Mom because she didn't tell us to stop. So Mom is the responsible one, and she needs to be running this show at all times.
Yeah.
I can't believe you're blaming Mom. All
We're
right.
just podcast makers.
Yeah, we are absolved of any kind of responsibility. We just make a podcast.
Yeah.
My goodness. Ian, so just tell me what do you like about Paranormal Activity?
I like that the scenes were from the main characters recording from like a little camera.
Yeah, they're like home movies. Yeah, just eavesdropping on what they got going on.
Mhm.
Awesome. Was there anything you didn't like about the movie?
It was really scary.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
What was the scariest part? Was it the end?
Like when she went downstairs
Mm-hmm.
and then came back upstairs. She killed Micha.
Micha. Yeah.
Chucky.
No, his name is Mika.
No, it's Micha.
Okay. Yeah.
That was scary. Also, when the girl gets dragged out of bed by the demon.
Oh yeah, that was very scary. But like I said, Ian, I thought you were a brave boy, and the fact that you wanted to watch with me, I appreciate that. Didn't you have like a nightmare a couple days after it? Did this have anything to do with that night terror?
I don't know.
We don't know. The evidence has not been collected yet, if that is the case. Okay, Ian, what do you give it for stabs?
A 4.
A 4?
Point.
Wow.
527,897.
I don't think anyone's ever given those stabs before.
There's someone who's done way more.
Okay. Want to say anything else?
Bye. Check out Little Uniforms.
All right. Thanks, Ian.